So, ladies and gentlemen, we do have the big news here today. The preseason coaches poll for the 2022 season has been released. I'll give my initial thoughts. We've got the AP preseason top 25 coming next week. I love the preseason polls personally. I understand they're very polarizing, but it is important to rank these teams so we understand their expectations and things like that. I know there are some people that don't like preseason polls. I think you got to have a way to gauge teams going into week one. Personally, I love the idea of like Ohio State and Notre Dame being a top 10 matchup. So we've got the top 10 right here. And guys, I think we're not surprised. Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia in that order. The first place votes, you can see that column. Only 3 teams received first place votes. Alabama gets 54, Ohio State gets 5, and Georgia gets 6. I would imagine the 6 coaches voting for Georgia are kind of old-fashioned, right? They won the national title. Personally, I would not do that. I think the overall roster makeup determines where you should be ranked, not just the fact that you won the title last year. Of course, Georgia has lost many defensive players, 5 defensive first-round picks, so they're number 3 right now. And you can see the overall point separation. Bama over 1,600, Ohio State and Georgia very close, and then Clemson is 4th. I think this is the exact same thing that the AP is going to do next week. It's going to be Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson. And there's a real separation between Georgia and Clemson when you look at the points. And in this poll, they do have Notre Dame 5th. So this would be Ohio State, Notre Dame, week 1, 2v5. Michigan at 6. I cannot hate on that, but I think that's a little bit high for what Michigan's going to do. Number 6. A&M is too high. I don't know if the coaches just bought into the hype of them signing the greatest class in history, but even still, I mean, those kids are true freshmen. It's very hard for true freshmen to make a massive impact, especially early in the season. So A&M, I would put at like 13 or 14. Utah, of course, I'm fine with that. Oklahoma, and then Baylor. There clearly is some respect being shown to Baylor and their head coach. I would move Baylor down a little bit. I think Oklahoma and Utah are both fine inside the top 10. Looking at 11 through 20, Oklahoma State, they're one of my most overrated teams personally. I actually think they're going to lose week 1 to Central Michigan, I believe. And then we do have Oregon surprised me. I was surprised at how high Oregon was. I guess they're trying to drum up some preseason hype for that week 1 Georgia-Oregon game. But I will say, the way Oregon's schedule looks, guys, I've been warning people. I think they're going to finish ranked higher than Utah. They get Utah at home in the Pac-12. They don't even face USC at all in the regular season, and they get UCLA at home as well. The schedule is so crazy for Oregon after that tough week 1 game against Georgia. NC State at 13. I've been seeing a lot of people rank NC State inside the top 10, but I think 13 is very fair. Michigan State a little bit higher than I thought. You know, I would move Michigan State down to like 18 or 19 personally. USC, it's so tough to rank USC. They have a completely new roster through the transfer portal with Lincoln Riley. Pittsburgh at 16, that's too high for me. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be that good this year. You lose Jordan Addison in such really an unfortunate way with the whole money NIL thing there. But either way, you lost him, and I don't know. I'm just not buying the Pitt hype this year. Maybe a fringe top 25 team. Miami is a team I would probably have at 13 or 14, so I would move them up, probably right next to A&M. Texas at 18. I mean, they're tough to rank. They have Ewers, they've got Bijan, they've got Xavier Worthy, but it's the same thing with them. I will say the reason I think Texas is going to be better this year than in the past, they finally do have a generational quarterback, and it is projecting. We haven't seen Quinn Ewers be a superstar in college yet, but he was an absolute star recruit, ranked a perfect 1,000, reclassified, was still ranked a perfect 1,000 and the number one player in his class. So this is different for Texas. They finally have a superstar. That is why I think they will show some serious improvement. I know they've become kind of a meme, like they're back or they're not back, but this time they actually have probably the most talented quarterback they've ever had since Colt McCoy. For Texas with Quinn Ewers and a really talented offense. Wake Forest at 19, I am not buying them. I think they lose 5 games. I know they have Sam Hartman. They've got A.T. Perry. But it's a surprisingly competitive ACC this year. Surprisingly competitive. Wisconsin at 20, I'm fine with that. I would probably move them up a few spots, but I'm fine with it. We've got Kentucky at 21. I'm fine with it. Cincinnati at 22, I'm guessing that's just respect for Luke Fickell. Cincinnati, I would be shocked if... Well, guys, the American, this is a storyline that nobody's talking about. The American is actually really bad this year. Like, it's really bad. And that's why I think Houston's going to go 11-1 in the regular season. So, Cincinnati, it's just some respect for Luke Fickell. They're replacing everyone. So, it's going to be very tough, but it is a watered-down conference. Arkansas at 23, I'm fine with it. Ole Miss at 24. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of transfers for Lane Kiffin. We'll see. They're certainly talented enough. And then Houston at 25, I would probably move them inside my top 20, but I don't hate that. When it comes to the teams receiving votes, Iowa, I don't think Iowa's going to be anything this year. Penn State, that one is shocking, and it's actually a little bit disrespectful to Penn State. I would be very surprised if the AP poll leaves Penn State outside of the top 25. I think they're at least the top 22 team. Personally, Tennessee, I mean, they're a fringe top 25 team. BYU getting one of the received votes, they'd be ranked 30th. Yeah, I mean, they've been near the list. LSU, I don't think LSU is going to be ranked. Auburn, dumpster fire. UCF, no. North Carolina, no. San Diego State, no. Fresno State, no. Mississippi State, no. Florida's a little surprising, and we'll get to see how good Florida is week 1. Florida literally has the perfect setup, I would say. You've got a young, very talented quarterback, Anthony Richardson. You've got a home game, and you've got it's a night game, and it's versus Utah. So Utah is traveling West Coast to East Coast, playing in 90-degree weather. It's a night game. You've got all the hype if you're Florida. It's a perfect setup for a win. So Florida, we'll see if Anthony Richardson is the real deal. If Utah wins that game, I've got a lot of respect for them personally. So Florida, yeah, it's just tough to rank Florida right now with the unknowns surrounding how good Anthony Richardson is. Utah State, why is Utah State receiving votes? I think they face Alabama week 1, Utah State. Air Force, I've heard really good things about Air Force. UCLA, I would put UCLA inside my top 25. Zach Charbonnet and a veteran quarterback. And Chip Kelly really has instilled a good ecosystem there for UCLA. Watch out for them this year. Boise State, they're always a competitive team. Appalachian State, same thing. Minnesota, getting some hype. We've got Tanner Morgan returning for the 20th season. South Carolina, the Spencer Rattler hype, I'm guessing there. Kansas State, Kansas State is a sleeper team this year. And then we have just some other teams. Iowa State, how the mighty have fallen. I think Iowa State was ranked 7 last year. Army, they have a really good pass rusher. And how about looking at the bottom, Florida State receiving a vote from a random coach. Who knows there? UTSA as well. Who is voting for UTSA? UTSA, they were not good last year either. And this year they're supposed to be worse. So that is interesting. But guys, the overall takeaways, we know right now there's a clear top 3, and then I think everyone agrees, or at least most people are going to agree, that Clemson is number 4. It's a lot of speculation going into Clemson due to the quarterback struggles, DJ Uiagalelei, but they have such a talented defense. I think the AP poll is going to rank those same top 4 teams that exact way, and then it comes down to probably Notre Dame will be 5th as well, but should Michigan be ranked that high? I don't know. I think A&M, that's a really aggressive ranking for them. I would put Utah over them. I would put Oklahoma over them. Of course, again, the reason A&M is one of the most talented teams in college football, the problem is most of their talent is true freshmen. which it takes a little while for them to make impacts. So overall, no real surprises here from me. The biggest being Penn State probably being left out. A&M being ranked 7th overall as well is a surprise. Other than that, really, it's the standard speculation coaches poll. We're getting the AP poll coming out next Monday. So we will look forward to that. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.